Well, I'm Joel Salatin, and of course, our family owns Polyface Farm in Virginia's Shenandoah Valley, a little village called Swope. Really, it's just a post office at these days. Used to be an old railroad siding, but our family came to the area in 1961. Dad was an accountant, Mom was a school teacher, and bought this worn out, gullied rock pile. That's why it was cheap. And so we've spent now 60 years developing developing the land, healing the land, and building a farming enterprise on it. The first 10 years were primarily experimentation. Dad got a hold of some early Andre Voisin work with rotational grazing control, what Voisin called rational grazing, and started playing with some electric fence, developing a mobile electric, a portable electric fence system. And we started seeing some real benefits there. And of course that then necessitated, well, how do we get water? You know, you're gonna move them around. They can't always go back to a stream or a pond. And how do you get shade? We don't have trees everywhere. And so, a portable shade mobile soon developed. And then, we started building little ponds and started installing, water system. And today, we've moved the organic matter from 1% to 8%, and we've moved the fertility roughly to 10 times, what it was at that time. And we've added a lot of species. So now we have, beef, pork, chicken, lamb, turkey, duck eggs, rabbit, and we direct market everything to about 8,000 families, a couple dozen restaurants, and we ship nationwide. And we have a farm store, and the farm supplies, about 25 salaries. So it's not a backyard operation, and so we direct market. We have a branded, a branded product that goes out, and perhaps the most important thing right now is that we now, for over 25 years, we run a very formal apprenticeship and stewardship program, and we put a lot of time and attention on developing this team of young people, and then germinating young farmers to go out and do this. And that's some of our most enjoyable, exciting, satisfying work in the movement. Sure. So we looked around and said, well, how does nature do these things? My dad was an economist, and he viewed the chemical, I'll just say the chemical approach, as being like a drug addiction. You got to get more potency, you've got to get more volume. It's a treadmill, and you can never get off of it. And he saw the biological approach as being more resilient, and it takes less and less, every year. Once you build the biology into the system, it takes less and less. And so we got a hold of early permaculture stuff when Bill Mollison first, was introduced to the world. And we started looking at these natural systems, and what we saw was, they were very simple, actually. Animals move. We live in a time when animals aren't supposed to move. You lock them up in a house, and they don't move. So animals have to move. Well, if animals move, you got to have movable water, movable shelter, movable feed. Everything's got to move. And so our innovative infrastructure has grown out of a phrase that's as simple as animals move. Next, animals are never just one, but they're always linked up, relationally complex with something else. The egret on the rhino's nose, the predator, the prey, and so we began running chickens, laying chickens behind the cows. The chickens scratch through the cow pies, eat out the fly larvae, and act in symbiosis with the cows. Those kinds of systems. Rabbits are above the chickens. chickens scratch under the rabbits, make compost, so the ammonia from the rabbit urine doesn't come back up into the rabbits. Those kinds of intricate systems. Hoop houses for chickens in the winter, pigs and chickens in the winter, and rabbits, and then we grow vegetables in them in the summer. So in the winter for 100 days, the chickens eat up all the bugs and stir in all the old leftover, vegetable plants, and then in the spring the vegetables go back in, and it's all been sanitized by the chickens, for the 100 days of winter. So those kinds of very intricate, complex relationships. Another big one was, fertilizer didn't come from outside. The soil developed fertility in situ. Carbon, whether it's trees or grass or whatever, carbon grows on site. It either gets eaten and pooped, or it falls over and decays. But the point is, nature doesn't import fertility from out far away. It runs internally almost. Water, we need water. Beavers had water all over the place, so we started building ponds. And then in nature, the whole commerce is pretty regionalized. It's not, there's always been a global trade in things, but it's kind of periphery things. It's a spice trade, it's other things, but the foundation of any regional diet is primarily grown within that region. And so we began direct marketing. We also knew that as a small farmer, we had to wear those notorious middleman hats to increase our margin, because we couldn't make it on volume and with low margins. So by wearing the middleman hats of processor, marketer, and distributor, we were able to get the whole 100% of the retail dollar. And suddenly, we were making as much. We could make as much with 10,000 chickens as a commodity producer, makes with 1,000,000 chickens. That's a game changer, and it made the farm doable, profitable. Even as a small farm, we were able to earn a full-time living. So as a foundation, what we see and what we've experienced is that we cannot ever tap out the abundance of the resource base. Now that's really different than the average farmer who thinks, we can't get any more off of this land base, and the kids grow up coveting the neighbor's land because the only way to have two salaries is to double the land base. Those sorts of things. We're completely opposite that. So one of the things that one of my favorite memories from Dad before he passed away, he died young. He died in 1988. One of the things that we did was, and Teresa and I had only been on the farm now for not even 6 years, but we felt at that point, 6 years in, we came to the farm full time September 24, 1982, and we were pretty, at that time, it took us about 3 years till we finally said, I think we're going to make it. And so we were 5 years in, and Dad said, let's do a brainstorming session on how many salaries this place could support. And so we sat down. I still have the yellowed piece of paper in the file with his writing on it, and we just sat down and brainstormed how many salaries could be produced here. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was like 21 that we came up with at that time, 21. And we realize now that that's not even scratching the surface of what's potential. So, you've got, we stack broilers, layers, turkeys, cows, sheep. All of those can be stacked on the same acre at different times of the year. They follow, they lead, they're all stacked on. Well, then suddenly, you're up there in the, $10,000, $12,000 an acre income. That's significant, okay? That's significant. And then, we've added pigs. The pigs aren't on the nice pastures because they dig holes and stuff. So pigs are on separate things, but they're in a lot of these marginal woodland, these kind of marginal areas. and they generate $4,000 an acre. Well, actually, they generate, let's see, 10 times. They generate $10,000 an acre. That's gross. That's not net. But anyway, it's significant. And then you start. I mean, we can sell firewood. Now we have a bandsaw mill. So now we have a whole lumber profit center. We can cut lumber for our own projects. So when Daniel and Sari got married, we saved $30,000 on their building their house because we milled our own lumber. We now lease 14 properties in the area. Most of them come to us very neglected, so they need a corral. Well, the average farmer would look at that and say, well, I'm not sure about that place because, I got to put $10,000 or $12,000 in a corral. All we got to do is spend a couple days on the sawmill. We got a nice state-of-the-art corral, and we're up and running. So that creates an unfair business advantage to be able to jump onto neglected or mismanaged land in the community, and develop our system on there. I mean, we now collaborate with a local grass-based dairy. So now we have chocolate milk, butter, cheese, all sorts of cheeses, artisanal cheeses. A couple ladies locally, they buy our chicken necks and backs, they turn them into stock, so we sell chicken stock. They even take beef bones and make heavy stews, frozen, so you can get quarts of heavy stew. Another gal takes our pork fat and makes cosmetics, so you can get ointment and chapstick. I mean, it's not chapstick's a brand, but lip balm, ointments. We have another guy that has 15 hives of honeybees on the place. So now we can have honey, and you can just stack. Another one of our fellows grows. He's took an interest in tapping maple trees. So he taps our maple trees, and now that's grown to about 100 taps within the community. So radiating out, 3 miles from the farm in the spring are all these 5-gallon buckets with maple syrup taps. He boils that down, and we sell maple syrup in the store. We've got another gal that does farm tours for school groups called Grass Stains Tours. And she's now expanded that into, corporate retreats, birthday presents, anniversary presents, and she does like 100 tours a year. Makes almost a full-time living just doing farm tours. We do seminars. We do gatherings for other groups that don't want to go to a hotel anymore. That's kind of new this year. These gatherings, we've done 7 this year as a trial, and they've been great. They've been gangbusters. There's lots of money that used to go to Sheraton, Marriott, and Hilton conference centers that's looking for a home, and we can say, hey, why don't you come to a farm? We'll meet in the hoop house. We've got a PA system. The acoustics are great in that that kind of tubular thing, kind of like being in a silo on its side, And we've got the greatest food in the world. We'll feed you. It's a way to value add our food, sell it as pulled pork and barbecued chicken rather than whole chicken. And I'm rattling, but you get the idea. There's no end. I mean, you can go flowers, you can do grapevine wreaths. I mean, we can have recreational fishing for bass in the ponds. I mean, there's no end. There's no end to where this can go. And so the future for us, we feel like. And I haven't even touched garden, horticulture. We've got plum trees, apple trees, pawpaws. We can do mushrooms, and so there's an entire cadre of a cornucopia of opportunity here. That I just feel like there's no end to it. If we had a woodworker, for example, that wanted to come, and we have the sawmill, well, if we had a woodworker that wanted to turn that into furniture, there's another opportunity. So there's no end to it. So as I see the future is that anyone who wants to come and build an economic enterprise that's complementary to what we're doing, non-competitive. There's no end to how many of those we can have. It's literally endless.